GeeksforGeeks has a challenge for you, the 390 challenge. Choose what you want to learn in 2024 and aim to complete at least 90% of the course in the next 90 days. And if you do that, you get back 90% of what you paid for the course. We believe you can do that. Now all you got to do is commit to your success. Commit with GeeksforGeeks.
Hello everyone, good evening. Could you please just reply me in the chats if I am, clearly visible and audible to you?
An American, Indian, and Russian win.
Let me just open up my video sideways as well so that I can see all of your comments. Give me a second. Till then, you can just, tell me in the chats if I am perfectly audible and visible to you. Okay. Yes. Okay. So, hello. Now I can see your comments here. Sadia is here. Hello, Sadia. I'm doing great. Okay, let's begin. First of all, very happy New Year to all of you. In this session, we are going to be, covering up with the introduction of Python, and we are going to picking up a few questions, which you can, expect in GATE data science course, which is going to be happening for the first time. Before even starting, I'm going to do a little analysis of the sample paper that has been launched or from the previous year papers. What have been the portion of data structures in general, and how much you can score if you study this subject only. I'm just going to tell you about the portion of basically the marks weightage. And actually, I'm not getting any comments, so I'm a little doubtful if there is no lag or something. Okay. Apart from Sadia, can anyone just acknowledge that? All right, let's just start. Let me share my screen. Give me a second. Okay. Right. So you can just tell me if my screen is perfectly visible. Is my screen visible, everyone? Tell me in the charts. Then we are going to begin. Charts, very good evening. Fuad, sorry. Yep. Good evening and Happy New Year. All right, so I guess the screen is visible there. Okay, so all the GATE aspirants pay quite some attention here, because till now what was happening is we were getting questions of DSA, data structures and algorithms, and we were usually getting like output based question in C or C++, right? This was happening, but this time in the data science GATE that we are having, in that we are going to be having the DSA portion. That means questions are going to be the basically questions related to your stack and queues and hash maps and all the things you were already facing in GATE. But what is the new addition? This time, the language that they are going to be using is Python. Okay, and we can say that some of the questions are separately going to be of DSA, as far as I have analyzed from the previous year questions and the sample papers released. The full syllabus will be completed in this marathon, sir. Sadia, well, we have planned this, session to be a crash course for you. So it is going to be more of a thorough revision of whatsoever you have studied so far. And I believe if you, religiously follow this up, then you are going to be scoring really well. Okay. So we cannot guarantee that whether we are going to be touching each and every topic, but we are going to be touching each and every topic in terms of their questions and revision. Okay. Okay. Coming back to this, so what you can expect in the paper? Well, as far as I have seen all the previous year papers, I have come to a conclusion that usually from 14 to 16 marks are there in this category. Okay. What sort of questions are there? There are 1 mark questions for DSA that are separately for DSA. 1 mark question that is for Python. Python. 2 marks question that is for DSA. 2 marks question that is for Python. Okay. Now, when I'm saying DSA and Python separately, what do I mean? Well, if I'm talking about 1 markers of Python separately, then that means these are just related to the language. Okay, language and the semantics and the syntax. Okay, no, nothing beyond than that. And simple logic, basically output-based questions. Okay, and when I'm talking about Python 2 markers, those are interviewed with algorithms. So these are going to be functional problems in which you are going to be given snippets. But in that, the questions could be like, this function is written in Python programming language, and you have to then tell what is the complexity that it will have, okay, for one particular input or something like that. So these are the questions which you can get in 2 mark Python, in 2 marks Python. Okay, interweaved with algorithms. Now talking separately about 1 markers of DSA and 2 markers of DSA. Well, these are going to be, questions of hash maps, questions of queues, priority queues, and just stacks sometimes. So these are just as you would expect in your previous gate exams as well. These has been there. These are going to be there. These are the new additions, the Python ones. Okay, these are the new additions. But in this marathon that we are having for DSA Python, we are having 4 sessions in this whole January. Every Monday we are going to be having this session. Today is the first one. We are going to be covering all of these categories. Okay, 1 markers of DSA, 1 marker of Python, 2 markers of DSA, and 2 markers of Python. Okay. Now, when I'm saying it will range from 14 to 16 marks, I mean that it is going to be a blend of all of these questions. Okay, you can have 2 questions of Python 2 marker, that will be your 4 marks, just like that. You can have your 3 questions, or again 2 questions of DSA. Similarly, you can expect 4 question in total from DSA and Python as well. Okay, 1 marker DSA and 1 marker Python as well. So okay, in this manner, paper questions are going to be present in the paper. Fine. So well, I don't want this session to be more of a lecture. If you are, understanding the stuff, you can please just tell me in the chats. I want more of a conversation here. So Fuad, Sadia, are you now clear with the pattern that you would be expecting, that we are expecting? Please be responsive in the chats. Yes, flex force. Okay. All right. Great. Now we have to, work smartly. First of all, we need to cater maximum marks that we can get. To handle Python, we must know the syntax of Python. Okay, that means that actually brings us to today's lecture. What we are going to cover, that's written here. Just erase it all. Yeah. So today I'm at least planning that we must be quite clear with all the syntax of Python. Okay, and these are the minimum requirements for it. Okay, you must know how input and output in Python is working and how is it different from other languages. Okay, then we have to then we must know that how the if else and elif statements are working. Basically, the functionalities are the same. The main point is going to be syntax. Okay, because Python syntax could be a little confusing to people who are used to who are used to coding in C++ and Java and the language of the kind. Slightly different. Then we have flow control, how loops are working, and not just loops. We are going to be discussing about, again, for and while both type of loops. Then we are going to be learning about range function. How does it work? What are the variation? Everything. And then we are going to be, seeing break statement, continue statement. You might have like seen these things before as well. Nothing new for you, but we will see in the context of Python how it is written and where it is used. Okay, because these are the things actually from where your questions get tricky sometimes. And then we are going to be learning about the inbuilt data structures of Python. We are going to be covering lists, tuples, strings, sets, and dictionaries. Okay. Then we'll work with functions, how usually functions are working, and we will try to see how we can pass on all of these data structures in functions and how these data structures are being manipulated. Okay. So let me just erase this one. Before starting, you can just tell me in the chat, out of 5, how confident are you in Python? Out of 5, just rate yourself out of 5 and tell me how confident are you in Python. How confident are you in Python? 4, great. I require more responses, please. Okay, Vishal is there. Good. Anyone else? Please, I want it to be a conversation, and all of the people who are watching it live, actually, you should be making use of it. You can also watch the videos which are already there. Just because you are attending a live, make use of the live so that we can interact. Whole of the like this whole lecture is going to be like I'm going to be putting up questions. I'd be expecting answers from you, and whatever answers you are giving, I'm going to analyze that. I'm going to discuss it with you. If those are right, we are going to see the approach what you have put, and if you're answering it wrong, I'm going to make the corrections. No problem in that. TA, some more paper. A little confident, but this year paper counts though. I mean, Sadia, just preparation should be there. Good preparation should be there, and else everything will be in the session. Okay, we will try our best. Well, this is the first session. So I'm going to keep it more of the theoretical and conceptual things around, but more forthcoming sessions that we will be having, those are going to be packed with questions. In this session, I want to cover these basics as well, because for anyone who might is left with this content is not going to be able to solve the furthermore questions. Okay, so let's dive into Python input and output. Beginning with Python input. Okay, tell me what is the keyword for input in Python? Keyword for input in Python, just write it down in the chats. Quickly, write it down. How we take input in Python. Input, right? Very fine. We have this input. Okay. And it returns us a string. It always returns us the string from the prompt. So if I'm saying some variable equals input, that means what this function is doing is from where our, input prompt is, from there, assume your cursor is there. So whatsoever input you are going to give in this line, that whole input will be recorded as a string. Will be recorded as a string, and that string will be stored in this variable. Okay. And one very basic thing which I'm not mentioning, which you should already know, but okay, let's just point it out: the dynamic typing. So when I am using this input, I do not need to specifically mention that A is of a string type. That does not happen here. It will automatically get to know that if you're storing a string in this variable, this string will be variable will be of a string type. Okay, so A becomes a string type. Just a second, guys. Yeah. So A becomes a string type, and the input whatsoever you are giving in this line, no matter if it is a string itself or if you're giving it numbers or anything, Python by default gets the input as a string, and then you can typecast it, read it, and convert it to integer or anything else. But initially, Python always takes strings as an input. Okay. Now, if I'm saying something like there is one variation of this. If I say input, input, and here I am passing on some written content, some like within this input function, I'm giving one parameter, and let's say just very simply, I'll write type a number, type a number. Okay, so what does this mean? What does this do? Well, this actually is also a way of prompting out something. Okay, so this will be written on the prompt. So it will be written here. Type a number. I'm not using print for this statement. Still, see, tricky questions can bring up from can be brought out from this point as well. Okay, what are the keywords which you can use to print something out on the coding prompt, right? And there could be a situation that print is not mentioned in the outputs, okay, in the options, and you'll be confused that apart from print, what is the keyword which you can use to print out something? You can use input as well. That's all. Okay, so type a number and your cursor will be here. Then your cursor will be here, and then whatsoever you type, let's say you type 57. Okay, where will it be stored? It will be stored in A. But if I do print type A, what will it give me? Just quickly tell me in the chats, what will this statement give me? What will this statement give me? Print type A. I hope you all are aware of type function. str, A is belonging to str class, right? Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else would like to answer that? People? Good. Now, if I have to convert it to integer, I want to input an integer. How will I? How will I? How will I input an integer? Enter number. Good. See, the thing is, either we can just typecast this A. We can typecast this A like this, or the next thing that we can do is we can directly enclose input inside typecasting. That means I'll say int, then whatsoever is inside these brackets, whatsoever which is convertible to int will be converted. So I'll say int brackets open, then I'll say input, and then I will just type in some message if needed, or I can skip it. I'll write this statement, and now when I store it into a variable, what happens? First of all, this line is executed. Okay, input is taken from the prompt, and then that input is converted into integer. Okay, so just in this case, when we were entering 57, it would have entered here. Then it would look something like this: int 57, which is in a string right now. Okay, and then this will be converted to 57, the number, and that will be stored in A. Okay, clear with it? Okay, now one little challenge for you. I'm going to be giving you one input, and you tell me how can you store that? How can you store that? Now, this question might require a little knowledge of list prior, but if you are able to answer that, then it's great. If you are unable to, we are going to be covering it in further lecture. No worry. So if I am typing in 5 space 7 space 9 space 14 space 21 space 0, I have given this. Okay, this is the input. That means space separated integers, and I want to get this input in the form of a list. How will I be able to do that? Give me some like a piece of code in the chats. it is just a one-liner code, and I expect you guys to know that. So if I have to input this, how will I? How will I input this? No idea? If you're not getting any idea, you can also say that. For I and S, okay, if I say without using loop, I don't want to use loop for this. We do have a Python functionality. Flex, I don't want to use loop for it. That could be an option, but still you are iterating using a loop. A quite complex way. You are coding in Python, you can be as compact as possible. Anyone? Any idea? Should I give you a hint? Should I give you a hint? Should I give you a hint? Good. Good, Sadia. We can split it. Then what will happen? Then what will happen? Okay, let me tell you. Let's say I have taken this list L, and what do I want? First of all, I'll be having my input, right? I have my input. I have it. Clear. Okay. Thanks, Sadia. Now, see here. I'll have my input. That means this whole line in the form of a string will be taken in, right? Including the spaces. Everything will be taken here. Now, if I say dot split, what this split function will do is it'll trim out all the spaces. Okay, it will trim out all the spaces. These things will be gone. Why it is trimming out the spaces? Because we are not passing any other symbol inside the brackets, and by default it takes it just takes up the spaces. Okay, so once that split is done, that means these numbers are gone, and then individually we are having all the numbers. Then what do we have to do? All this like it'll split this string, and it'll split from the places where we are having spaces. We'll be having these individual number strings. Then what we have to do? We have to convert each and everything into integer. How can we do that? There is one functionality of map. So let me put some space here. I can write something as map, and I will enclose it like this. The first parameter is going to be integer, then a little comma, and then this. So every number that is being after a split, that is existing after a split, will be mapped to an integer. So this is just typecasting to this whole string. Once this whole string is typecasted, each of these string 5, string 7 you were having, it will convert into number 5, number 7, number 9, like that. Okay, once that is done, you cannot directly store map object or print map object, but you can do the same thing with list objects. Thus, for the ease, what I'll do, I'll convert it once again using list. Okay, so this one line will actually compose one list for me, which will be having this, which will be having these numbers like this. Okay, so everybody has understood this speed of this piece of code. Has everyone understood it? Tell me in the chats. Yeah, great. So is it a new thing, or it was already clear to you? Fine. You're doing great. So what about others? Sadia, you are there. Vishal. What about you guys? I hope you have also understood it as well. Yeah. A map is actually really useful. You must, see more examples of it. It actually makes many of the things easier. What about others? I hope they are not having any confusion. If you're having any confusion about any of the point that we are discussing here, please put that in the chats. I'm here to take all the queries you have. Great. Let's proceed. So once we are done with this, that means we now know how to input strings. We know how to input strings. We know how to input numbers, that means integers, and we know how to input arrays, let's say. Okay, these three things are clear. We can compose of our list now, and I don't think there are going to be much variations to it. And depending upon the other inputs of dictionary and other data structures, we will see when we will deal with those. So input is done. Now coming to output. Now coming to output. Simply output. What is happening? Just give me a second, guys. Yeah. Input done. Output. What is the keyword for output? How do we output things? Very, very easy thing. Just write it in the charts. We use print. Use print, correct? Whatsoever like input you're going to give to the print, the parameter you're going to give to print, it actually is going to appear on the output window. So what we can give in the in print, we can give variables. We can give variables, which actually means like if we go into the technicality of Python, there is nothing called as variables. Everything is an object of different classes. So if you're talking about an integer variable, it is like object of integer class, things like that. But because it is very similar to the concept of variables, just like in any other language, we are just saying variables. Okay. So I'm saying, so what I'm doing here is I am saying that we can directly give variables in our print. So if I'm saying print a and a was holding some value, let's say a was an integer variable and it was having 10 as the value, it is going to print that. Okay, assume let me just say I was having a list object L and it was storing up one list. Okay, then it will just print up this list including the square brackets. Okay, and if I just give up some text, if I just give some text to print, I should notice that the text is enclosed in double quotes or single quotes. Both work. Both work for representation of a string, and you can use them interchangeably. Okay. So if you have to just print up some text, use this. If you have to print a variable, you can do it like that. If you have to print a list, you just need to give the name of the list. Print L. If that is your list object, the whole list will be printed. Same thing goes with dictionaries. Same thing goes with sets. Same thing goes with your tuples. What is the difference? For lists, they are going to be square brackets. For tuples, they are going to be these basically braces. They're small brackets. For dictionary, they are going to be curly braces, things like that. Okay, so you must notice that the difference in the output window actually can tell you what data structure is being printed. Okay, have you understood it so far here? Any example needed, or have you understood it? Have you understood it so far? Guys, I'm waiting for your response. Great. Okay, let's move ahead. Anything you would want to add from your side that should be mentioned? Anything that you would want to be added in output? There is one more thing called as f strings, if you want to know. Of f strings or formatted strings, you can use it like that. This is small p. Okay. So if you're saying print, you use f here, and after f you start your string. Okay, like this. So you can just type in whatsoever text you want, which will be going as a string sentence. So let's say my age is, and whatsoever my age is, I can write it like this inside curly brackets. So let's say I said a, and a was holding some value. Let's say a was holding 15 as value. Then yeah, this acts as a placeholder. So what happens is, it is very similar to the things that we used to do in C. So just from that, from there, we are kind of imitating it in these placeholders. Okay. So in this manner, what will happen? Your A will be replaced with this number that A was having as a variable, and the whole string will be printed as it is. Okay, and I like till now I have not mentioned the backslash n for a new line. You can add it anywhere if you want to have a new line, or for tab space you can add backslash t and all these special characters. Okay, wherever needed. I believe these are very like usual things that you might already know. That is why I haven't mentioned it yet. Okay, so I hope the output is clear now. Everyone is clear with output, right? Let's move ahead to the next one. Okay, input output done. This done. We are moving ahead to conditionals. So if I'm talking about conditionals, you're talking about how we are, like using if and else, basically. How we are interrupting the flow of the program. So if we are having, if you can imagine a flow chart like this, if you are having a usual flow of a flow chart, and there is a condition that comes up, okay, there is a condition, a Boolean condition to be specific, that comes up. It can lead you to two paths. What could be the paths? Either it could be yes, or it could be no, right? This is the usual condition that happens. And in programming languages, we deal it using if else. In Python, the syntax is like this. You write the keyword if, and in front of if, you write the conditions without any bracket needed. Then you give up, then you place the colon, and then you come down, and whatsoever the body of if you are writing, that should be indented. Okay. So if I write some example that if the age is, let's say, greater than 12, I can say something like print, okay, you are about to enter your teens. Okay, so I can write something like this. And if I have to place up else, then again I need to see that I am again back to the indent of where if was started. So just like with the same indent, if already there, if already is there, I'm going to write else, and again the same thing, colon, and I can write print anything. You can print anything. Okay, just taking up an example to clear up the syntax of if and else. This is how if else works. Talking about nested if else, so I can use if, and here will be the condition of if. I'll use colon. I'll go to the next line. I'll have an indent so that we can separate the body of if. I can have if inside an if as well, and then again I want else. I can have it here with same indent of if. So this else belongs to this if. Okay, and for the outside, let me change the color of pen. So if I can say for this if, the else will be here. Okay, no condition for else, sorry. Directly the colons, and whatsoever the body of else is. This is how if else goes. Okay, I hope there is no confusion in if else and nested if else. If else clear, nested if else clear. These are very small things. I'm just covering up for the sake of it. If else, nested if else. Clear to you? Fine. There is one more thing. The if else ladder. If else ladder. So what usually happen in languages that if else is like this. If something, then again after it we use else if again something like this, and then it goes like it kept on going till you want it to be. And in Python, what is different? We don't use else if, but just the keyword changes. The keyword for the same thing is elif. Okay, so it is elif. So I say if your again, let's take the example of age. If your age is less than 12, you can write something. If your age is between, let's say, 13 to 18, if your age is in this parameter, age is in this range, you can do something else, or you can write up something else here. Okay, so in this manner, you can make up your if else ladder. Any doubt? Any sort of doubt in the syntax? Any sort of doubt? Any sort of doubt? Okay, let's go to the next. All right, conditional is done. Conditional is done. Nothing fancy here. Now let's come to flow controls. Okay, let's come to flow control. Coming on to flow controls, it actually includes both our loops and if we also consider the conditional statement, that also come under this umbrella. And apart from that, when we talk about our functions, those also come into this topic. So it is pretty wide, but let's just begin with iterations. How we can perform iterations when we are when we are coding. So for Python, we have two keywords again. And the first one is for. The other one is while. The other one is while. There is no do while loop here. Okay, so whosoever is coming with the background of C and C++, they are familiar with third type of loop, which is do while. But we do not have it here. We only have for and while. Okay, now now we need to clear up 3 or 4 things. Let's just write a basic program to type numbers from 0 to 10. How that can look using both for loop and while. I can simply say for I in range. What is my range? From 0 to 10. I will write 11 for this. And I will print I. What you have noticed here? Please tell me, what have you noticed here? Any observation that you made? And I hope the syntax is clear. I'm using one indented space here. Okay, so this is your indented space to separate the body of for. Any observation? Correct. So R-A-N-G-I, just forgot N. Yeah. So the function range, actually what parameter I am giving in? I'm giving in n plus 1. So whatsoever I need till 10, I will give 11. Because the thing that you pass inside range is actually exclusive. Okay, I'm going to be telling you the function range in detail, don't worry. Let me just write the counterpart using while loop. So the same thing, you can do it like this, simply in the fashion you were doing it in C or C++. You first use your variable, you initialize it with 0, and then you can just say while I is less than equal to 10, Keep on doing what? Keep on printing I. Keep on printing I. And what you can do, you just have to increase I by 1. Okay, simple while loop. But what is for doing here? How is for different? Both the things are performing same thing, but fundamentally what is different in these two lines? We are using range. What range does is, range actually gives us a sequence. Let's study range in detail. What range does? What range does? Range, yeah, Python do not have I++. You can use shorthand. Okay, Python do not support increment or decrement operators. Yeah. So what does range do? Range gives us a sequence. So range actually gives us a sequence. So if I say range 5, what sequence will I get? I'll get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the sequence that range will give me. Okay. Now, let's say if I'm using it with for. So I said for I in range 5. Okay, what does range 5 give? Range 5 is giving me the sequence. The sequence will be kept here. The sequence will be kept here, and I will be just, like for does not work as it used to work in C or C++. For is range based now. So what for does is, for picks up every element one at a time in the sequence. So whatsoever sequence you serve here, you are going to be having those. So I firstly will be 0, then I will be 1, then I will be 2, then I will be 3, and then I will be 4. So we are imitating the same thing that we used to do, but the concept that we are using behind it is actually different. So let's say if I have my list here, if I have my list is 7, 8, 12, 15. And instead of this range function, range 5, I write for I in L. I write for I in L. What is your list? A list is also kind of a sequence, right? So if I do this for I in L, print this, print I. So what am I going to get on the screen? My numbers are going to be 7, 8, 12, and 15. Same thing I'm doing it here, but this time I'm using range. Range is used to give us a sequence. Okay, range returns a sequence. So is everything clear so far? Is everything clear so far? Flex, Vishal, Rajveer, sorry, Sadia, is everything clear? Is everything clear so far? Clear? Great. Now what do I have to do? See, range can get 1 parameter, 2 parameter, or 3 parameters. Okay, we have 3 variation of range. When we say range, R-A-N-G-E, range, and give only 1 parameter. So if I said 10, what will this do? What will this do? In this, it will begin from 0 and will give me a sequence till n minus 1. That is 10 minus 1 here. It means 9. Okay, it is going to give me this sequence. Now, what if I do not want my sequence to start from 0? I will give a start point and an end point. So I can say range, start from 5 and end it at 17. What will this do? This will give me a sequence which will begin from 5 and will go till what point? Tell me. It will go till what point? What is going to be the last number? Tell me in the chats. 16, correct. Because the first parameter, that is the starting point, that is inclusive in nature, that is included, and the end point is exclusive in nature, that is excluded, that is not taken, that is not considered. 17 will not be considered. N minus 1. Till n minus 1, the sequence will be formed. Okay, 2 parameters done. Now let me introduce the third parameter to you. I will say range. I will say let's again, I am beginning from 9 and I am going till 25, and I'm taking a jump of 2. I'm taking a jump of 2. What do I mean by that? See, by default, I am doing, just see this example. I'm going 5, 5 plus 1, 6, 6 plus 1, 7, 7 plus 1, 8. That means I'm just taking 1 jumps. Actually, I'm not just taking any jumps. I'm just as it is, with no gap, I'm writing down all the numbers. But if I've written 2 here, what will happen? 5, then take a jump of 2. Then you can write 5. After this, you can write 7, right? After that, you can write 9. After that, you are jumping, you are skipping up the numbers, right? So this is how range works. All right. The last parameter is jump. Is this clear? Is this thing clear to you? Is range clear to you? People, is it clear? No confusion so far? Anything that you would want to ask? Great. Great. So we are done with range. Now, already told you about for. Let me just tell this little thing again. For does not, behave or respond for the increments. So if I'm writing something like if for I in range 7 and print I and do I plus equal 1. What will this do? Can anyone tell me? What will this do? What will this do? Could you just tell me? What will this be doing? Let's make it easier. Let's make it easier. Let me make a correction here. Not correction, but an alteration. I'm writing this. What will be printed in the output screen? Tell me. What will be printed in the output screen? I've not included 0. I've written from 1 to 6. 0 to 5. Are you sure? Are you sure? I'm not using range. I've given one list there. Traverse all the element of the list. Good flex. Rajveer, see, according to the, you need to give me the answer according to what is written there. 1, 2, 3, or 5, 6. Good. Rajveer, think on this and then give me the answer again. And Flex, what is happening with I plus equals 1? Can you tell me? What is happening with this? Good. What is happening with I plus equals to 1? Is it making any change? Is it not making any change? What is happening? It's increased by 1 for each iteration. It will be increment. It will increment the I, but I have just told you when we are using for in Python, it does not even need increment or decrement because we are not working on indices. Okay, I'm not saying that I have written my indices here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've not written my indices here so that you are incrementing the indices or expecting something else. I have not written that. What is happening here? When I'm doing this, what is happening here? I is increased by 1 for each iteration. See, now what is happening? See how this for is different. You are seeing the sequence. I will just iterate over it. I will go to the first element, then the next, then the next, then the next, till the end. Okay. This is the function of for I in some sequence. This is the function of that. Now, if I say, I'm saying I plus equals 1, what is happening here? Assume we are talking about the first iteration. What is the value of I? 1. That means this 1 is being represented by I. We are saying I plus equal 1. This 1 will get converted to 2. But now we will be into the next iteration, the second iteration. Then again, for this sequence, this 2 will come here in this I. This I will be having this value 2. You'll print that value. Then again, you'll make this 2, 3. You'll make this 2, 3. After that, you will again go to the next value. This value will be given to you. And then you will print 3. But you will make this 3, 4. This is just incrementing the value that I is holding. Okay, be sure with it, make it clear. Whenever you are working with indices, prefer while, because the way you are used to working with indices in C or C++, you can imitate the same thing using while, but that will give you a problem when you are working with for, because you cannot escape indices. You cannot escape indices in any case. Okay. It's a simple array traversal, but the way we used to have it using indices. So if I'm writing I equals 0, I less than n, I plus plus, it was happening in usual cases of the other languages. We were working with indices. Now we are not working with indices. I'm just putting on the sequence. Even if you are clear with C++, you have for, or let's say auto I, and then you give one sequence. So if it is a vector, you can give it like this. What is this? This is range based for. This is what we do here. Okay. Now again, if you want to iterate a list using its indices, what I can do is I can simply say for I in range. Range will again give me the sequence, and that sequence will be delta as indices. And I can say here, let's say I'm talking about len of one list. So len of L. So whatsoever will be the length of L, that means a string, that means a list, that of that length, range will be made, and then that range, that will be beginning from 0 till the n minus 1, that will be delta as the indices. And then you can further on use it like this, li, to print it. Okay, so this is how for loop is working. I hope I was able to clear all of the aspects of for you, right? Now, once the for is done, see, while is simple. While is simple. While works only on one phenomenon, and it is very simple. While something is true, while the condition written in front is true, it will keep on happening. Once the condition becomes false, it will exit. It will exit. Okay, and you can also use this with a combination of else. Okay, because what while does is while also acts like if but multiple times. So if I'm saying while I is less than 10, keep on doing this. So at every iteration, what am I saying? What am I checking? I'm checking if I is less than 10, if I is less than 10, if I is less than 10. If multiple time is while, correct? Just like the thing I can use, I can use else with if. In Python, we can also use else with while. So after while, you can write up else here. Okay, a little more handy thing which Python gives us. So should we move ahead now? Should we move ahead? Is everything clear so far? Okay. Okay, let's talk about functions now. Break a statement and continue a statement is left. Break a statement and continue a statement is left. So working with break and continue. Let me write up one sentence for Tell me the output of this, please. Tell me the output of this. Rajveer, let's just continue with break and continue these keywords. Let's explain these and solve the question of these. And then after that, if we get one time at the end of the lecture, I will take up more examples of that. Else, you can just give it a read. It is very simple. You can use else with while. You can read up an article and you can ask your confusions here. Right now, tell me the output of this. Tell me the output of this, please. One, two, three. Are you sure? Are you sure? Flex force. What is the default beginning parameter of range? What is the default beginning parameter? It's 0, not 1. Correct. From 0 to 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. At 4, it will break. Now, what if I say, let me change the range. Actually, it is quite big for you to answer here. Let me change the range to 6. Now I did the same thing, but this time instead of break, what I did is continue. Could you please tell me now what is going to be the output? And write it the way Flex has written it. Rajveer, do not just write 0 to 3. Write me, tell me the exact thing that will be printed. Do not use commas. Okay, Nachiket, you have answered for the previous one. I want the answer for the this continue keyword now. Okay. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correct. No 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 5. Good work, Flex. What about others? It is so weird to just say Flex. Flex, what is your name if you want to reveal? Correct, Rajveer. It's right. Anyone who doesn't, who is not clear with the meaning of break or continue, tell me in the chats so that I may explain your Aman. All right. So, anyone who is not clear with the concept of break and continue, they can mention that in the charts. I will tell you the meaning of it. See, the thing is, what break does is, at any point, if you write break, you get out of the loop immediately. Okay? You get out of the loop immediately. But if continue is written there, so let's say you encounter if I equals 4 continue, that means whatsoever body of for is left, you would not execute it. You would not execute it, but rather you would go to the next iteration. If break was there, then no execution of the body, no execution of further iterations left. Just get out of the loop and start with the normal flow that we use, that we usually go with. But if continue is there, we skip one iteration. That means wherever the continue is written, after that, all of the lines of the code inside for are skipped, and we again go to the next iteration. Okay, that is the difference between break and continue. Still very crucial for output-based questions, and these can make questions quite tricky. Okay, so break and continue are done. And done this, done this, done. Okay, functions. What is the keyword for functions in Python? Tell me. What is the keyword for functions in Python? Keyword for functions in Python. Def for definition. Right. Okay, now tell me what are the usual components of designing a function? The usual components of designing a function. Tell me the reference of C or C++ as well, because only with that I'm going to be making it clear how precisely we are doing it in Python. What are the components? What do we need to compose a function? We need a function name, function parameters, function body, right? We need a call, a function call, right? Correct. So what happens? Let me just write down typical, yeah, that is in terms of Python. Let me just write down a typical way of designing a function. That means basically from C. Okay, what happens? I write my function name, and then inside the brackets, what happens? I have my parameters, right? This is the case. Then what is okay? Then I have a function body, so we can represent that using curly braces, or because we are in Python, I can use dots. Depends. Okay, but sorry. But apart from that, what is necessary? I should mention what is the return type. Okay, I should like typically I should mention return type. So what does that mean? Whatsoever function is giving to me, what is the data type of it? Right? Yeah. Okay, then what is the data type of it? So these are the three things which are needed to compose a function like this. And when we where we are where are we making the call? The place where we are making the call. So what do we need? We just can say function name, and we can pass on the arguments, and the call will be made. Okay. If function is returning something, I must store it in some variable. If function is returning something, I must store it in the variable. Or if the function is not returning something, that means its return type should be void, right? Void or none or null, anything. Okay, but in C or C++, we are having it as void. Now, what are the things that are skipped in Python? We do not explicitly have return type. Why not? We do not require return types. What is the thing? Why we do not require it? What is the property called? Can you tell me what is the property called? We do not require. Correct, Rajveer. So this is just again the property of dynamically typed languages. So you do not require any sort of types of your data. So if you are storing it in any variable, whatsoever the function is returning, that will be stored in a variable just wherever you want it. Okay. If this is returning a list, a will become a list. If this is returning a string, a will become a string. Similarly, if that is returning you a dictionary, a will become a dictionary. This is the beauty of dynamically typed languages. Simple. So you do not need to specifically mention all of these things. Everything will be taken care of because Python is a dynamically typed language. All right. So you must actually understand these concepts to handle this thing smartly. If you are confused in these things, you will be able to use these things, but whenever tricky topics or tricky questions are given to you, you might get confused. So I always say that once you're clear with this concept, you would never find any hurdle in solving these situations. I hope you also understand it and you agree with me, right? Charts. No. Okay, one more thing. When we are talking about any of the variable, if I'm saying a equals 51, okay, I've given that number. What is happening here? An object is made, and the object a is referring to 51 integer that is made somewhere. Now everything in Python is stored in dynamic memory. Okay, we do not use static memory for it. Just give me a second, please. Yeah. Okay, we do not use the static memory for it. What do we mean by that? So if we are making changes, let's say, instead of a, let's take up a list. So I said n equals 5, 10, 15, 25, things like that. And I pass on this list to a function. This is my function, and I'm passing on list to it. Inside that, I'm making one change. I'm saying li or let's say L1 equals 7. Simple. And the function type is void. I'm not returning anything. I'm not returning anything. And in the body, I just called function L. So L is defined here, just like this line. L is defined here, and I've written function called L, and I'm printing L. What will be printed? Can you what will be printed? Can you give me the output of this little code? Can you give me the output of this little code? Output of this code, please. What will you be getting? What will be the list? Empty list. Are you sure? Why? Give me the reason for that. See, this L that I've written is actually this line. Okay, I told you. I just did not repeat it. This L is this line. Come on, give me the output of it. 5, 10, 15, 25. Are you sure? Rajveer, are you sure? The list itself. Are you sure will the change that I have made in the function will be reflected or not? What is the second statement? Let me clear it. Let me just clear it to you. I'm going to show you this thing in this coding window. Give me a second, guys. Just give me a second. Function is not returning any value. Yes, it is not returning any value, but it is making one change. If you can, let me just show it to you. Give me a second. Yep. Where is the StreamYard? Okay, let me Stop sharing this screen. Present this one. Share the screen. This one. See what's happening here. See what's happening here. I've declared one. I've made one list here. Okay, this is the list. On line number 8, I printed the list. Okay. Now I've called this function. What this function is doing at L1, it is changing the value. At L1, it is changing the value. And once that value is changed, and I am again back here in the normal flow, and then I'm printing the list, the change will not go anywhere. The change will persist. The change is going to be there. Okay, because the change is made in the list, right? And the list is actually, okay, list is not being copied anywhere. No copy of the list is being made. So because I've already told you one thing, we do not have variables here, we have objects. And everything in Python is actually being stored in dynamic memory. Okay, so let me again, okay, I cannot use my pen here. Let me go back to the OneNote window. Give me a second, please. Okay. I hope you understood this. Should I go to the OneNote window again? I hope you understood this. Let me tell you. Yeah. Share screen and then window this. Actually, let me share both of the things. If I can do that, let me see. No, one at a time. Fine. So what is happening here is, whenever I'm creating a list is being created in the memory. A list is being created in the memory. So if I'm saying 5, 10, 15, 25, this list is created and that is being referred by L. That is being referred by L. Okay, and I'm passing on this to a function. If I'm passing on this to a function, I've passed this to a function. I said F, L. Now this L that is here, let's say if we even change the letter. So the array will not be updated. As for the one not code, the array will be updated. Why not, buddy? Why not? The array will be updated. See what is happening here. Let me tell you. This is the same thing I did there. There is no difference. In OneNote I wrote L1 equals and I showed, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. That is a mistake. That is a mistake. Thanks for pointing it out. I meant equals to only. I was altering it. I was altering it. That was a mistake. I was just telling you the concept of this dynamic memory, and that was a mistake. Okay. Yeah. So what is happening here? Even if you mask it with other variables, so you say instead of L, let me say A here. If I'm saying A here, so what will happen? Now one more reference will be created for this local space of this function called as A, and A would be referring to the same memory space. So if I'm saying A1, A1 is also referring to this 10 only. There is no copy that is being made, and A is not working like this. You don't have L as different and A as different. Okay, you don't have like initially your list is this, correct? And this is not the condition. Whenever you are passing it to a function in Python, this is not the condition. Another list is not being made. The copy is not being made. Else, this situation is there. Rather, this situation is there. You have your variable or whatsoever name you are giving it. That will also be pointing to the same memory location. And whatsoever changes you are making there, that will also be reflected in the array from the, you can say, main code. Okay, from the normal flow of code. Okay, is this clear? Is this thing clear to you? Is this clear to everyone? Clear, guys? All of the topics that I'm picking up, all of these things, these little things I'm telling is only because the question, the output based questions are around these. If any of these things is confusing to you, you might end up giving up the, like giving up marks. Great. All right, fine. This is done. Loops done, functions done, functions. Okay. Then go to inbuilt data structures. List, tuples, strings, and dictionary. Coming on to lists. See, simply lists are actually, what you can say, substitute of arrays. Arrays did have some foundations that like usually if we define array as a data structure, we always say that array is a homogeneous data structure. That means if we are creating an integer array, all of the elements will be integers. If we are creating up a string array, all of the elements should be string and things like that. But in Python, if we are working with list, we actually do not it is not compulsory for us to make it homogeneous. So if I'm saying I'm making up a list and I said L equals, I can say one, I can say hey in a string, I can say I can, let's say, have a float value. I said 1.75. Then I said Happy New Year. Okay, things like this. So what is happening here? I am storing different types of data in this list, and it works. Okay, indexing works the same. Indexing works the same. So the first element is 0th index, then first, then second, then third, right? But we have additional indexing. That means we can access, like normally we can access it like that. I want L1, that will be printed, hey will be printed. Okay, I said L2 1.75 will be printed, but I do have negative indexing in Python as well. Again, a Python specific thing, you should keep this in mind. What happens here is in usual cases, the positive indexing, we have it from 0 to n minus 1. Okay, but in case of negative indexing, see, I will write it here. The last value is -1, the second last is -2, the third last is -3, and just like this, it will point from reverse. Yeah, it will point from reverse. So if I'm writing anything like this, okay, this ranges from reverse. So it is from -n to -1. Positive indexing, negative indexing. Okay, that one is your positive, that one is your negative. Clear? Clear with the indexing? Good. Now the thing is, give me a second. Here. So you know how a list is being made. You know how a list being accessed. Well, the random access again take constant time. So if you already know the index, you simply have to just use the subscript operator and you will be having your value. Okay, that is done. Now, what if you want to compose a list? What if you want to make a list? We also have to take your slicing. I will tell you that later. Yeah. Right now, making up a list. What are the ways of making a list? Can you tell me? Making/composing a list. What could be the ways? Tell me. How can we compose or make a list? Charts, tell me. Charts, I'm waiting. Tell me what are the ways? What are the ways you already know? How can we compose a list? How we can make our lists? By using list keywords such as this. Okay, that is by typecasting. Let's consider this method. Using loop, next method. Typecasting one, and taking input. Typecasting is basically your input taking, right, directly. Or the other thing is loops. We can use loop, like along with append. One thing done. Typecasting with input keyword, using loop with append, And yep, you can simply, if you have to create empty list, you can say it like this. You can use a square bracket. So A equals a square bracket, that means an empty list is created and A is there. Another method could be using, like creating an object. List bracket, that means we are making up an object of list class. Both of the things will give you empty list, no problem. Other things, we have already seen loop and this. Any other method? Running range function to the list. Yeah, we can do that, but what if we do not want a range? We want a different list. A variety of lists that we want, like we want it to be there. Index method, better known as what? What do we call that? We call it list composition. Okay, so when we are slicing is not that, yeah. Slicing is not how you make up a list. I'm talking about how we can generate, how we can create a list. Slicing is something else. We'll see that later. I've just written that so that I don't forget that I have to discuss it here. Okay, list comprehension, composition, or sorry, comprehension. Comprehension or composition? It was list composition. Yeah. Yes. Using insert is no keyword. Insert is keyword, but actually, usually for creating up a list, you use append, and whenever you want to insert, yeah, it's comprehension. Thanks for clarifying. Yeah. So yeah, Rajveer, I'm telling it to you. Using insert, you can use insert, but you wouldn't want to use insert for creating your list. Why? Because insert takes two parameters. What are the two parameters? Would you like to tell me? The two parameters are the value that you want to enter, comma, where you want to enter. That means the index. And for that, the complexity that insert takes is actually on. Okay, index value, right? So the thing is, and what append does? Append just appends it at the last, right? So make sure what happens is, whenever you're creating a list, you go with append. And whenever you want to alter the list, you want to enter some value, you want to insert some value at any particular position, then you go for index. Else use append, no problem with that. Let's take up example of list comprehension. Okay. So if I say I have to compose a list, I simply have to compose a list of all the uh, even values from 2 to 10. If I say something like this, so I can do L equals I for I in range 10, or let's say 11. Okay, and all the values will be taken from 0 to 10. But what do I want? I want all the even numbers, right? Because I want all the even numbers, I also have to put a check here. I'll say if my I is by 2 equals 0, only then. When I do this, then what happens? Then all the even values will be stored. Guys, give me 1 minute. Let me get my charger. Actually, my battery is down. Till then, try this list comprehension up and tell me some of your examples of list comprehension in the chats. Okay, give me 1 minute. Yes, I'm back. So, any examples from you of list comprehension? Waiting. Flex, Rajveer, where are you? Aman, sorry. Nachiket is here. Nachiket, what is the example that you would want to give of list comprehension? Anything? So usually, what happens is the basic format of list comprehension is the value that you want to enter, okay, the range that you want to put up the values that you want to like get the values from, and then the condition by which you want to filter the values. Okay, these are the three things. And if you do not want to filter the values, you can skip it. You can just make it like this: the value and the range you want it from. If you want to make any if you okay, yeah, correct, no problem. You can just multiply all the values of 5, all the values by 5. Actually, that was the point I was coming. If you want to write any simple operation here, so you can also write I multiplied with 5, just like Aman has written. I multiplied with 5 for I in any list that you want, or any of the iterable, or any of the range you want. From that, every value will be picked, all of every value will be multiplied with 5, and your new list will be made. This is your list comprehension. Okay, very like quite a specific and tricky thing, that is like specific to Python, and you can directly get questions from it. You can directly get questions from it, believe it. Okay. Now coming on to loops, I believe you already know that, right? You just have to have your basic for loop, just like you put it, and then you have to ask for the, let's say, L dot append, and you can just ask for the input from here and write int input if you want to store integers. Int input like this, and you can put it here inside append, and that will work flawlessly. You can you take all the variables, all the values from the user, or you can use the way that I told you. That means included by using the map keyword and splitting. Okay, you can use both of the things. But you must know all of the ways, because if any of the ways is missed and that is there in your functional programs of your gate exam, that you might get in trouble. You might get confused. So I hope everything is clear so far. I hope everything is clear so far. Is it? Aman, is it clear? Rajveer, is it clear? Good. Now coming to slicing. Okay. Thanks, Nachiket. Great. Now coming to slicing. So Python also have one very fancy thing, and it works on like list, tuples, your strings, every sequence. Basically, for every sequence, this thing works, and we're talking about slicing. We're talking about slicing. Let's say, let me create up a list. This is your list. Now I'm just going to ask you a few things. This is represented by A. Tell me what is A3. Tell me what is A3. Tell me what is A3. Simply, I'm just asking what is A3. One. Great. We got the answer 1. Now if I say A from 3 to 5. Tell me this. What am I going to get? What am I going to get? What am I going to get? One, two. I'm going to get 1, 2, but please make sure you be specific. What? 11 to 8? No, 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 no. We are not going to get 11 to 8. Actually, these are commas. Okay, this is 7, 1 to 8. Fine? Yeah. Okay, nice attempt, nice attempt. But 8 won't be included. 1, 2 is the right answer, but Nachikit, if you're answering, answer it completely. When we are slicing a list, you are going to get a slice of that list. That means inside the list bracket, and this is also inside the list bracket, you're going to get, no, this is not in the list bracket, sorry. This is just you're accessing. This, when you're taking up a slice, that will also be a list and you'll be having it like this from 1 comma 2. Now the point for yug. Okay, what happens is if you do not actually are going to include 5, because when we are talking about slicing, the first is your beginning point and the next is your ending point. Again, your beginning point is inclusive. That means that is included in your answer, and your end point is exclusive. That is excluded in your answer. Okay, so it's right. Now if I say something like a 15, oh sorry, a 6, and then I give nothing. Now what do I get? Now what do I get? Tell me in the chats. What do I get? 15, 16, 20. Right. Correct. Aman, answer it like the way Nachiket has. The correct way. Okay. Yeah. 15, 16, 20. Why? Because I have not mentioned anything in the second parameter. That means the end parameter. I have not mentioned anything. By default, if I'm not mentioning anything, this will assume that I'm talking till the end. That means the end of the list. So if I'm skipping the end, it will take all the values till the end. Now similarly, if I say this :3, then what will I get? Then what will be my answer? Tell me, what will be my answer then? Correct. I'll be receiving 5, 12, and 7. That means like same thing I did here. This time start parameter was not mentioned. And if the start parameter is not mentioned, only your end point is mentioned, then the starting point will be taken from 0. Okay, good. So, slicing is clear to everyone? Is slicing clear to everyone? Tuples. Okay, great. Now let's talk a little about tuples. Tuple. Could you just tell me, everybody, it is very famous, the mutability term, immutable and mutable, being mutable or immutable of any data structure. We say that tuple is immutable and lists are mutable. Everybody knows that. What is the meaning of that? Could you tell me in the chat? What is the meaning of that? The mutability. Anything? Anything that you would mention, you would want to mention in the chats? I'm waiting for you. We can't change the value of the tuples. Yes, that's the thing. So if I say Will it be wrong? Will it be wrong? Can we do this or can we not? Can we do this or not? Guys, can we do this or not? Yes. Why? Because when we're talking about mutability, and we are saying that tuples are immutable, we mean what we mean is we cannot change the structure. That means we cannot make alterations to it. I cannot say b1 equals 5. I cannot say that after this line being executed, or just after the first line. I cannot say something like this. Why? Because I'd be changing the structure, changing the values of a tuple. We cannot do this. This is immutability. Okay. But we can change the links of it. Okay. This is a tuple created. Then, first of all, A is referring to it. When I say B equals A, now B is also referring to it. Simple. That can be done. Some people get confused here because why we are changing it up? How can tuple be changed? Tuple is not changing. Only the links to it can be changed. We cannot change the values that are present in the tuple. Okay, this is the immutability. Fine. When do we use tuple? When we know that the data that we have stored once is not going to be altered. Okay, thus tuples are slightly faster because tuples already know we do not require any alteration operation, right? So tuples, whatsoever you can do with a list, most of the things you can do with tuple, but that should not be associated with altering the values of the tuple. Okay, you can slice up a tuple. You can print the values of a tuple just like you print the values of a list. The indexing is same, negative indexing is same, every other thing is same. But the only thing is all of the functions that you use in list that can change the values of the list are not valid for tuple. Fine. Every other thing, len supported by this, basically your normal printing supported by this, then sorry, then slicing supported by this. Everything is supported. List and tuples are completely same. Just the thing is tuples are immutable. That's all. Okay. I hope you've understood it. Understood list and tuples. Is this done? List done, tuples done. Great. Now comes strings. Strings. Now again, very useful thing, and we try study it from the beginning of any of the languages. And in Python, actually, all the input you take is in the form of a string. Then you have to typecast it further. What happens? Represented by semicolons, sorry, double quotes or single quotes. Okay, interchangeably you can use it. You can simply give any sort of letters here, any sort of special characters here will work. Only the thing with backslash, backslash n, backslash t, anything with backslash have some special meaning, and that won't be printed. That will make sense. Okay, and every other thing that you put inside of the double quotes will be put as it is on the screen. And strings are also immutable. The strings are also immutable. Once formed, you cannot change the values. Okay, but the links can be changed. Okay, clear? Very similar to tuple. You can create the list. You can find the length of it. You can take up a slice of a string, but you cannot alter the string anyhow. You cannot alter that. So if I do something like I said hello, hello, geeks. I said hello geeks, and then I said This is represented by a equals this, and I said 3, 4, 5, 6. I said a6. Give me a6. I can print it. This will be printed as G, right? Done. Now, if I say, give me a slice, I said, give me from 6 till the end. What will be printed? If I write up this, what will be printed? Tell me. If I write this up, what will be printed? Hmm? Please tell. Geeks? Correct. Well, Nachiket, it's G, it's capital G, not a small g. So it is going to be GEEKS, right? This chunk, this like slice of the list will be printed, right? Great. So you understand strings as well. You cannot do anything like this. You cannot say string 3 equals m or anything. You cannot change any string. One way that you could do is, let's say, instead of a space, I want a dash here. How will I do that? Instead of a space, I want a dash here. What will I do? I will, I can use any sort of mechanism. I can say a equals a, then from 0 to 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can say 0 to 5. Take up this chunk. Then plus I'm concatenating two strings, plus use one hyphen here, then again plus, then take the next chunk and mark it from 6 till the end. Okay, then what will this do? And again, after composing the list, I am naming it A. That means, firstly, A was referring this in the memory. So firstly, when hello geeks was written, firstly A was referring that. Then I have made a new string. Then A will not point to this anymore. A will point to this, and this string will be lost. Okay, so the new string that will be formed will be hello hyphen geeks. Okay, we can do this. If we have to change a string, if we have to add any element or make any changes to a string, this is how we do it, by changing up the links, by not violating any of the constraints of the string data structure. Okay, we can do this. This is just sort of a fix that we have thought of. Nothing fancy. Now coming on to sets and dictionaries. Yep. Sets and dictionaries. Flow control done, list done, tuples done, string done, now sets and dictionaries. Okay. What is a set? Tell me, what is a set? What is a set? What is a set? Chats, I'm waiting for you. Unordered? Basically, in Python, you only have unordered set. You have dictionaries, those are different. See, set means collection of unique values. So you can enclosed with this. Yep. Enclose it with this. But when you do this, these curly braces are used with both sets and dictionaries as well. But in sets, what happened? We do not have key value situation. We will see that further on. Right now, just see sets are represented by this, and what you have to do is that you have to whenever you create up a set, you use dot add. Add is the functionality. let's say S is the name of your set. You set S equals set, right? Then you can say S dot add. You can give any value inside. Okay, that will be stored in a set. And the only plus point with set is, the only feature of set is that it only stores a unique value. So if you are going to store a value again that already is inside the set, that will only be stored once. That won't be storing the copies of it simply. So again, you can say dot add for adding up elements in the set, and you can say s dot remove for removing any element from the set, and obviously remove you have to give what element do you want to remove. Okay, and then one very useful keyword in is used to check whether a value is present in a set or not. So if I said if um, mm, 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 if hello, this is a string, if hello in s, then print yes. Okay, do it like that. So it will, you can assume it's a set like this, and if hello string is present in the set, then simply this in function will return true. How does in work? In has a left side, a right side. The right side has the set, or basically the container we want to check in, and then on the left side is the value we want to check in. So here is the value. I'm checking if this value is present in this sequence or not. We can use any other sequence as well. So what happens? This gives us either true or false. So if this is giving us true, that means we can say yes, print yes, simple. So this is, like set in like very basics of set. This is how it works. These are the thing it uses, and all of the fetching that is done in the set and all of the checking that is done in the set is in O1. The plus point of sets O1. That means in constant time you can check the element if that is present in this in the set or not. Okay, understood? Any confusion in sets? Any confusion in sets? Guys, any confusion in sets? Chats, tell me. No? Nachiket? Rajveer? Okay, done. All right, so we do not have any confusion in set. Now let me come to dictionaries. So when I'm talking about dictionary, it actually is a key value pair data structure. Key value, or we can basically say it is a hash map or a hash table. Fine. So what happens is we store the data in the form of key and values. Now, if you want to think it like that, set is actually very similar to dictionaries, but set does not have any corresponding value to its keys. Why am I saying that? Because dictionaries also use the same curly braces. But in dictionary, what you do is inside these curly braces, instead of putting one single values all the time, what you do is you put key value pairs. Okay, and fetching in dictionaries, that means looking a simple lookup in dictionaries is also done in O1. Okay, and in terms of key value, again, you can think of keys as anything. These keys could be any number, any string, any other values that should be unique. That's all the keys should be unique. So I said one corresponds to hello, and I said this two corresponds to geeks, and then let me say let me just write today, a string today, and that corresponds to new year. Simple. Okay. Now, how do I fetch? If I have to fetch anything, I can say let's say the name of dictionary is D. I can say D Again, I can use a subscript operator here. The same operator I was using in list or tuples for checking up indices. I can use it here as well, the subscript operator, and I can write the key. If I say D2, what will be printed? If I write D2, what will be printed? Please tell me, if I write D2, what will be printed? Charts, I'm waiting for your response. Geeks, right? Geeks will be printed. Now, if I say I write G, I write D, and inside this I give today. Now, what will be printed? What will be printed? NY, correct. NY will be printed. So now you know how you can fetch from dictionary, but how you can create a dictionary. How you can create a dictionary. If you want to add up, Najiket, error, why would it give error, Rajveer? We have one key today here. If you have any question, you can you must put it in the chats. Any confusion that you're facing, put that in the chats. Any confusion? Any sort of confusion that you must be facing because you have said error? Okay, you write it up till then. Let me tell this. Hold on. Yeah. So now we know how we can fetch the elements. But what if key value pair same hone chahiye? No, there is no compulsion. There is no compulsion in that. There is no compulsion in that. Key value pair same. The only thing is the key should be different. It could be of any data structure. The values could be of any other data structure as well. Beauty of Python. We are not predefining that the keys will be integers and the values will be string or pairs in C++, just like in C++. We do not have to specify that. Wheresoever what we need, we just do that. Okay. Yep. Now, what if I said D3? What will happen? What will happen? I'm fetching the element, but now I'm trying to fetch a key which is not present in my dictionary. What will happen? Please tell what will happen. Key error, right? Key not found. Key not found error will be thrown. How can we cater that? How can we avoid it? How can we avoid it? Please tell. How can we avoid this key error? Any idea? How can we do that? Try except. Why even go in that? There is one very useful function in Python. So this subscript operator, accessing using subscript operator, is quite vulnerable and we might get error. And to cater that, we can use try and except, and or we can handle the exceptions. But simply there is one function called as get. So if I say d dot get 3, now what will happen? Either if the key is existing, it will give me the value of it. If not, it will give me either 0 or none. Like by default, I need to just check it or what it gives by default. But get actually takes two parameters. Get takes two parameters. The first one, the index that you're looking, the key that you're looking for. The second is what if the key is not there? So I can simply say not there. Or I can write up a message, or I can simply write anything. I can even write 0 here, I can write -1. It is up to me. The second parameter is only displayed when the key that you have entered is not present in your dictionary. Okay, so get is just a smarter way of doing things. Fine. Understood? Quite useful when we are working with dictionaries. All right, guys. Have you understood everything so far? And the fetching that we are doing in dictionaries is also in O19. Okay, that means constant time, very fast. So great. Anything in this whole lecture that you might have not understood or you are confused about? Anything? The things we planned, we have covered that. All the things that we planned, we have covered that. Have we covered all the things? Guys? I hope there are no confusions. Chats? No confusion, huh? Tick. Done. Okay, so let me just quickly summarize. We started with, dealing with, so we have many built-in functions. I think though we have to remember everything. See, Aman, we do have a lot of, built-in functions in Python, but you do not need to require, need not to remember all, but make sure you start using them and start working with it. Because once you are comfortable with all the inbuilt functions, half of the things you will remember by default. Half of the things you will be remembering by default, and there are some specific inbuilt functions for the specific data structures. Okay, that means for list there are some like a very few which is specific to list. For string there are a few which are specific with lists. Rajveer, actually, okay, let me show that to you what happens. Okay, for while and else, let me give you a condition. While I is less than 10, do something. Do something. This is written. Else, do anything else, or else print not in range. So assume if your I is equals to 15, it will go to the while won't execute, but the else part will execute and your normal flow will be there. Okay, simple. Just like you use if else, it is completely like that. Okay. Yeah. So guys, yeah, I was just giving you a quick revision. So what did we cover in this class? We started with Python input output. We worked with everything. Let me just take you to a quick tour. We got to know how we can input strings. We got to know how we can input lists, how we can input numbers. We got to know about typecasting. Then we went for output, how we can use output. We can simply output the variables. We can output the list. We can use output with the combination of loops as well. Then we went to conditionals, and we got to know how we can implement if and else. What is the proper structure in Python? How indentation is being done, and where you do not have to get confused, right? And then we covered nested if else, and we covered our if else ladder. Both the things covered. Then we came to flow control. We got to know that there are two types of loops: for and while loops. For loops are basically range based loops. So this work with the ranges, and we have seen quite a lot of example of that, right? While on the other hand, while is completely the same function, works on the same functionality that we used to work in with C or C++ or any other language. No difference in that. Just you need to take care of the increment and decrement so that you do not get to get in a infinite loop for while. In while. Then we learned about the break and continue statement. You guys already knew that. We just took a revision of it by some examples. Then we came on to the functions. how we have to see the functions in Python, because if you're just going to study the functions of Python, there will be a lot of the things in your in your knowledge, you'll be having knowledge gaps. You won't ever understand the concept of return types, or you won't understand the concepts of void function and the other functions. You must firstly understand these things, or you must understand the functions of C, and then you come to Python, so that whenever you are going through the functions of Python, you do not get confused anytime, because these are way simpler. These are very simple, and these are very easy to implement. And if you're using that, you're getting questions on that, great. But you must understand what is happening in behind. All right. Then we went to we just understood the concepts of how memory is being allocated, right? Everything is in the dynamic memory, because in Python we do not have a static memory. Like we do have, but we do not, we cannot have variables in the static memory, or we cannot have any arrays in the static memory. Everything is there in the dynamic memory. Okay. Then we started with list comprehension, different types of making a list, what functions can we use with it, how slicing is done, and everything. We saw tuples, we saw strings, the immutability concepts. We saw how a string is different, how tuple is different. Then we went on for sets. Right now we obviously you remember everything. For creating an empty set, we can use it like this. For addition, for adding any element, we use set.add. Then for removing element, we do s.remove, right? And for checking in, we use in, the keyword in. We have seen the functionality of in, and it is a Boolean thing, so it returns either true or false. Then we came to dictionary, and we saw how dictionaries are working and everything regarding to it, and how get is very useful, right? And adding something to Aman's answer, you do not need to remember each and every functions, each and every inbuilt functions of Python, but do remember the most used ones, and the ones which are specific to any of the data structure. So if there are one or two functions which are specifically made for dictionaries, you can get questions from there. Okay. If one or two functions are specific to list, then you can get questions from there. Okay. So do remember that. But still, I wouldn't say it is required to know every, but just be prepared with most important ones and the unique ones. Okay, so I hope you have understood everything in today's lecture, and this was great. Taking up this lecture and meeting all of you guys. In this lecture, I actually focused on making up a pedestal. Okay, I actually focused upon making a pedestal for you in Python. So now that you are well aware of the syntax of the Python, from the forthcoming sessions, we are going to be taking up questions to see how we can utilize this knowledge. We still have to cater the 1 mark question and the 2 mark questions of Python. Okay, so we have to be in the next session. We are going to be focusing on that, and in the forthcoming sessions, we are going to be focusing on 1 and 2 markers of DSA specifically. All right, am I clear to you? Every Monday, we are going to be having these sessions. Every Monday throughout the January, we are going to be having DSA Python sessions. One more thing, guys, I would want to make one announcement. Well, again, very happy New Year to all. This is the first ever YouTube live of 2024, and GFG is giving you one gift, which is this 390 challenge that is going on. So from the 1st of January to the 31st of January, you can take any of our courses. It is up to you. You can go to the courses page of GFG. You can take up any of the courses. You can pick any of the courses, anything that you want to learn. And if you are able to complete the 30% course in if you are able to complete the 90% of the syllabus in 90 days, then we are going to be refunding you 90% of the amount that you have paid. You might be able to see this runner that is going on. It is just to tell you that, it is just to make you aware that you can get any of the courses only at the 10% of the cost, only if you are committed enough to complete the whole complete the 90% syllabus in 90 days. All right, guys, so let's wrap up this session. It was great being here. You have been such a lovely audience. Everybody was so interactive, and the session is quite successful only because of you. Okay, I'll be meeting you next Monday, so take care till then. Happy New Year, everyone, again. Thanks, Nachiket. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Rajveer. Happy New Year, Aman. Take care, everyone.